to keep things continual. And that's when I found out about the rash I had.
Wait, hold on. Are we live?
I sure
That's
hope not. I was talking about my rash.
We'll cut that in post. Welcome everybody to Dancing Dragons Live. This is Dancing Dragons weekly show where you get to hear from real coaches talking about real things that affect your real life. Dancing Dragons is a brand new dance coaching collective where you can get a coach that will get you to where you're going in life. We have coaches that deal with every single kind of coaching that you might want. We have coaches that deal with professional, romantic, relational, whatever you want. We got it. We got people who do numerology and yoga to physical fitness and nutrition. Anything that you want to do, go to DancingDragons.CC and book the perfect coach that will get you to where you want to go in life. Now, Dancing Dragons Live is our weekly show where we talk about various topics. It's every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And tonight we got a great topic. It's how to stay optimistic. Now, the holiday season is like, to me, it's like a time, it's like an exciting time. You get to see your family sometimes that you don't get to see all the time. It's like really exciting. That said, it's kind of like, there's this kind of weird, sad undertone to the holiday season. A lot of people feel left out or they miss loved ones or whatever. And that there's always kind of like this asterisk, I feel like, in the holiday season. There's a lot of people that might be feeling down. The end of the year's coming, one of my favorite Christmas songs, is, happy Xmas, the war is over, right? And it's like, so what, and now this is Christmas, another year over, what have we done, right? So, it's kind of a time of reflection, right? And so I just want to make the case for why we should all be very excited. You read the news, there's a lot of doom and gloom, but you know what? If you really think about it hard, for your whole life, whenever you read the news, there's a bunch of doom and gloom. And it just gets doomier and gloomier as you go, right? But then life still goes on, right? And so I just want to make the case for being optimistic. So, Coach Will.
Yeah. You're going to have to make a strong case. There are at least 3 genocides going on right now. There are more people that attend trekking conventions than protest the Federal Reserve. And I'm not even optimistic that this rash I have is not just hopefully I'm being optimistic it's just poison ivy from that time I went streaking. But there's a lot of terrible crap going on in the world. Why the heck should we be optimistic in the first place? Like, there's a lot of bad stuff going on. Justin Bieber's still releasing albums.
That is true. And you know what? As soon as we get Justin Bieber to stop, I'd say that we're headed in the right direction. But here's what
Harambe's dead. Everything went downhill from there. So,
man, R.I.P.
F's in the chat, guys. F's in the chat
for Harambe. Guys. Yeah, I'm sorry about to say that. F's in the chat, yeah, for Harambe. So, here's what I would say, man. It's like, yes, if you take a big enough scope of the world, you're always going to be able to find horrible things that's going on, right? We've had, shootings recently in the U.S., crime. Just a couple months ago, there was that horrific video everybody saw with the train thing, the Charlie Kirk shooting. There's so many things. The whole thing with Gaza, Ukraine. Is it Nigeria where they're doing that genocide? Like there's so many. There's so many. I'm getting a text from Alex about whatever the StreamYard link. I don't know what to tell him. I'm live already, Alex. You
live. Like, share, and subscribe, guys. F's in the chat for Harambe.
Yeah, so there's so many things that you can focus on and be like, hey, this needs to change. And honestly, I'm a political activist by trade, right? Like, I agree with you. Like, these are bad things. I would fight. I do fight to change these things. On a regular basis, right? That doesn't mean that there's no reason to be optimistic. There you go. Alex just said he sees that we're live, so we're good, guys. Don't worry about it. Um, there's no reason. There's no reason at all for that to mean that you can't be optimistic. Like if you look at history, right, and this is why studying history is so important. If you like look at history, there's always terrible things going on, and so if there's a reason, like if bad things happening was a reason to not be optimistic, basically you just have to say like you should never be optimistic. You should never be happy. Everything's bad, right? And I think that this is like a strange position to take, right? And I'll tell you why, right? It's because it's like everything is relative, right? Like we have people today that are like on their iPhones, like upset because, whatever, their internet connection is slow and they're angry about that, and then like if you went back like 100 years and like you were like talking to some, dude that's like, I don't know, it's the 1920s, what was going on in the 1920s. Well, let's say we went back 95 years, it's at the beginning of the Great Depression and you got in the Dust Bowl, you got like people in the Midwest that literally don't know where their next meal's coming from.
Single shot in my matcha, and this place doesn't have Wi-Fi, and I don't have a heated shower.
And you're like, man, my video keeps buffering.
My bait needs to be charged.
Yeah. So, like there's levels to this, right? And so everything is relative. And I don't mean to minimize anybody's problems, right? Obviously, you have real problems in life, right? But the point is that as people, this is just how we are made. We're made to adapt to our situations, right? And so we're always going to see problems. And then once we solve problems, smaller problems are going to seem like bigger problems. And like proof of that, by the way, is right now, if you were to ask the average person on the street, you'd probably say like, how bad is it right now? A lot of people would probably say it's the worst it's ever been, and it's like, these are people that live in the United States, right? Like, and it's like, I mean, we got it better here than like, most of the world, right? But like then when you look back on history, it's like this isn't as bad as like, the 1940s or 30s or something, let alone the worst it's ever been.
Going back further, dude, like I mean, can you just imagine? Can you imagine being a hunter-gatherer? Can you imagine being somebody that lived off the land for a feudal lord? Can you imagine somebody just randomly from Gaul being conscripted into the Roman army to without any sneakers or nice jackets? Just let's waltz around the whole of Europe. I mean, dude, things are tough, and just to kind of riff off that too. Whenever I go to the corner store, or someone asks me, just the polite pleasantries that you exchange while you're interacting with people when you're making your purchase at the grocery store or whatever, they'll be like, "Oh, how you doing?" I'll be like, "Hey, man, half the world lives off $2 a day, so I'd say I'm doing pretty good." And when you take that perspective, things start to feel good. But I'd also like to harp on the point that you just made too, which is don't negate your own problems because you say, "Hey, well, half the world lives off $2 a day, so therefore the fact that my relationship is crap and I don't treat my family well and all that," because you can kind of use that as a crux. But there's many reasons to be positive, and if you look at the people that are making $2 a day, some of them are extremely happy. If you look at like a country of Bhutan, and of course there are problems everywhere you go, problems, good things, bad things, but I mean they have a happiness index, just like other countries would have other type of indices. So they're concerned about those things. Those people aren't making, even close to 20 grand a year, and they're still able to carve out a happy lifestyle for them. So I think it's a little bit about perspective. But what do you think has been getting us caught up into this for such a long time?
Actually, I just wanted to finish up that last point real quick. So like the reason why I was doing the comparative thing too is that it's like if you actually look at the hard numbers, right? Like right now is like the bottom of like the violent death rate in the history of the world, right? It's like the bottom for global poverty in the history of the world, right? So like right now is arguably the best time to have ever lived. You know, you might be able to make an argument that like 2019 was slightly better, but like the point is that pre-COVID, you know, like but the point is that oh, my bad. But like the point is that right now, like this past 10 years is the greatest 10 years that has ever happened. And to stay at that, to be at the greatest like point, and to be like, well, there are bad things going on. It's like, yes, there are bad things going on, but that's not the story. Bad things going on is the rule, right? You know what the story is? Is that things just keep getting better. Things just keep getting better. And you know, um, we can kind of go off a little bit later, maybe on like how like different things might be getting better in different ways, you know.
Yeah.
But we could do it now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just one example that comes to mind too is I was one of those guys. I always am the contrarian out there, and so people be like, "Oh, Jordan's the best basketball." When I was growing up, because I'm an OG, so I grew up when Jordan was out there, right? And Jordan's the best basketball player. I was like, "Well, basketball is you're ranked on how many rings you have. Bill Russell has 11 of those, so I would say that Bill Russell is a better basketball player than Michael Jordan." But now you really can't make the argument. Jordan was phenomenally dominated the NBA when he played, as did Bill Russell. But I mean, LeBron James. I mean, I even think you could take an average person from today's NBA and they would destroy Michael Jordan. I know that's a hot take, but athletes have just gotten better because we have access to better health care, better resources. We understand different science, right? I mean, if Babe Ruth was so people can say right now that maybe Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani is a better baseball player than Babe Ruth, and that's an argument to be made. I like to make the argument based on errors because, sure, if you're judging those two by the way they are now, absolutely. But if you put Shohei Ohtani back in the 1920s, or if you put Babe Ruth in today's game and gave him access to all the cryogenic aftermaths that they have and launch angle statistics, he could be even better. So, but I think as a whole, things are getting better, and things just get better because we learn more things and we build upon those things that we've already learned.
Yeah, and I always loved the quote, you know, I forget exactly how it starts off, but like I think like it's a tribute to Socrates, right? And it says like it's like, oh, if I am great, then you know, it's only because I stand on the shoulders of giants, right? And to think that somebody that lived like 4,000 years ago, you know, like he was accrediting like human evolution and societal evolution, like that's like that's 4,000 years ago, and he's like, yeah, the only reason why I'm able to reach new heights is because the people before me did so much, you know, and that's like going back 4,000, and then we're like, you know, we got that little piece of like humility and understanding of history 4,000 years old, and then you got people who proclaim to be like self-made billionaires and stuff, you know. It's just it's a funny it's a funny juxtaposition, you know. But but what I would say though is that that's like there's a lot of stuff to be optimistic about, and I want to give an example. Like this is a perfect example, and we'll get into nihilism a little bit because I really feel like nihilism has been the zeitgeist for most of my life, maybe my entire life. It's been in vogue to be like a nihilistic person, right? And I think that that's one of the worst things in our society, right? And it's like the worst thing for you personally. Like it's not just like a societal problem; it's a personal problem, right? If you start getting into this nihilistic mentality, and you know, what I think is really sad about it is that most people don't even know that they've like taken on a nihilistic worldview. They don't even
It's so
realize
true
it.
because it kind of permeates all of our culture too. You know, one example I can think of right off the top of my head, I didn't think of when we were discussing this, you know, kind of earlier about the topic and then in the last couple days or so. But it's just like it's cool, and it has been since I was growing up, to like, oh, you're good at school? What a loser. you don't hate school and you don't put your hair down like this. Oh, you don't want it like so. But let's take a step back. Yeah, exactly. Like, let's
I
take a
had a
step back.
leather trench coat. I had a leather trench coat.
So, so what is nihilism, and why do you think like, and what are some, I guess, other examples of how it's kind of affected our culture? Where is that coming from? Is it by accident? Is it by design? Or at least if you can't answer that question, like how has it changed? Because at least with the school example, right? Like people from overseas and then people up into like the 50s, 60s, even the 70s, if you were good at school, like you were awesome. You were like, yo, I'm the smartest kid in class. And then it was like, oh, you're a smart kid? What a loser. I'm a jock
yeah.
and I do drugs. Okay, cool. So yeah,
Yeah,
what
you
is
know, it's
what
really
is
funny.
nihilism?
I like the example. Yeah, I like the example, right? And here's the thing, it's like, so there are different kinds of nihilism, and we can kind of go through it right now. I think that, by the way, like it's a little like nerdy to read off these like different kinds of nihilism. Nihilism is basically just devaluing, like, or saying that there's no meaning in things, or that it doesn't matter, or saying that something is bad, like just pointing out only flaws in things and not its merits, only the demerits, right? That's what Coach Will right there. He's that's his go-to, right? So that's why this is actually an intervention. Actually, this whole
And the funny
episode's been
thing
a
is, just
ruse.
as an aside, Coach Eli and myself have had multi-hour talks in the past talking about, well, if we only live this time and then civilization is going to be destroyed inevitably by the Big Bang or the Great Collapse, what difference does it make anyway? So this is a very cool conversation, and I'm hopefully he'll convince me there's a reason to still be positive, and I can maybe use some nail polish remover and get these black nails off. So we'll see. But yeah, let's see what you can do there, Bucky.
So I don't think the Big Bang is going to destroy the universe. I don't think
It
you
could.
might
Yeah,
need to
you're right.
reread that. You might need to reread that one.
No, yeah, it's the cosmologists debate whether it's going to be a continual expansion or great collapse. Flat earthers like myself think it's just going to be a crunch wrap. It's just going to fold onto each other, layers of cheese and sliced tomatoes. Just kidding. All right, but yeah,
No, that's a Crunchwrap Supreme. You don't get tomatoes or sour cream unless it's Supreme. Yeah, Crunchwrap, no tomatoes. Sorry, you messed up, bro. Anyway,
damn. We'll just edit that in post.
Yeah, we'll edit that out post. So existential nihilism, right, is there is no built-in purpose to life. That's that concept, right? And that meaning is not discovered, only invented. Like if you do have a meaning to your life, it's just something that's fake. It's just like an invention, a concoction of your own delirium.
That's a good way of saying
nihilism.
it.
Yeah. Moral nihilism is objective good and evil do not exist. All morality is arbitrary or illusory, right? I love that one because nobody actually believes that. And I use like Jordan Peterson's definition of believe. It's like if you live your life like, then you believe it, right? If you live your life like it's not, then you don't believe it. You might proclaim to believe something, but unless you're living your life as though it's true, then you don't actually believe it.
And that's a great point. That's why I actually took the trolley and ran over those 5 people because I'm not all bark. I bite too. I said,
multi-track drifting is you gotta get that one extra guy. You know, there's that one extra guy. You got to get them all. You know, so you got to do the multi-track.
I flipped the bitch and came him on the way back. Yeah.
Half the audience has no idea what we're talking about. We're talking about trolley problems.
If you guys don't know what the trolley problem is, Google that because it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you go to a trolley problem like meme page, which are literally the best meme pages, you'll understand what multi-track drifting is. All right, so epistemological nihilism is that knowledge is impossible. My dad is on this heavy. Drives me nuts. In fact, actually, Coach Will so an argument between me and my dad about this exact topic. Because my dad's always like, "You can't know. There's nothing." And I'm like, "Yeah, you don't know I exist. What point are you making?" Political cultural nihilism is that all social structures, traditions, and values are baseless and should be rejected or destroyed. That one might be onto something, but that one is not great. But it's closer than it's closer to right than not. Passive nihilism. Nothing matters. Just apathy, depression,
All right,
withdrawal.
so I
Right.
think we get it, and you're boring me. So
Yeah.
what changed? What, because I mean, if I was just as a novice to take a look back, obviously you have and there's good and bad that comes with all these things. But you have the Industrial Revolution leading up into the early 1900s, and at least up until 1912. Um,
This guy said you're boring me, and then start talking about the Industrial Revolution. I'm sorry. Finish, Professor.
Yo, the Industrial Revolution is badass, bro. People had goggles and top hats and pocket watches. So the point is
Pocket
that,
watches were really awesome, and we should bring them back.
and as a matter of fact, I actually we had a talk about last week because you were so devastated that the Eagles lost to the Dallas Cowboys. You had to miss a show. That was terrible. But we discussed rules for gentlemen, and one of them I forgot to mention is, yo, don't just get yourself a suit. Obviously, I'm kind of leisurely tonight because it's like nighttime. I'm not no collar. Look, we're having fun. This is a vibe, right? But bro, get your extra bucks, get a vest, and get a pocket watch right there, and then just be like, someone asks you the time, you just scrutinize it with a little monocle and be like, okay. But yeah, so industrial. Here's the point,
Things,
right?
Just before you move on from the pocket watch, if Stranger Things is any indication of coming trends, the bad guy this season has a pocket watch. So.
Oh man, I don't even want it. I don't even want to watch it. Do it anyway.
Sorry,
So
spoiler
the point
alert.
is, the point is, you got the Industrial Revolution going up at least until the point of Titanic, where it's like, hey, everything is getting better. Human condition is getting better. Technology is helping us. Progress is just going to continue forever. Obviously, there was a little bit of a setback there with the Titanic and the Great Depression, but people were still pretty. And then that whole, and shout outs to humanity for 85 years for avoiding nuclear war. I mean, that's pretty darn good. So you've kind of seen some ebbs and flows, but it did seem like progress was an infinite thing. And then you had people taking pride in school and so forth for a long time. But then when we're going up, what changed and why?
So, well, one, I just want to bring out the quote from Nietzsche, right? Which I love. It's like, and I won't get it exactly. Sorry, guys. But it's when you gaze long into the void gazes back into you, right? And so it's a quote about nihilism. By the way, a lot of people, and I really need to press this because philosophy is like something very close to my heart. Nietzsche is one of the best ones. A lot of people claim that Nietzsche was a nihilistic philosopher, and it is completely false. They completely misunderstood all of his philosophies. He was the exact opposite. He fought against nihilism. He was an anti-nihilist, right? He was literally, if you were going to label him anything, it would be anti-nihilist, right? But sometimes people claim that that's nihilism. And by the way, on a side note too, because Fight Club is actually always considered like a nihilistic kind of thing. It's the opposite. It's arguing against nihilism.
It's
arguing against nihilism. It's pointing out the nihilism in our society. And even even like Project Mayhem and all the stuff, for people who didn't see Fight Club, what's wrong with you? You're terrible. Go watch it right now. Turn off this video. Go watch Fight Club. I don't know what you're doing with your life. But
there's Bob. Bob had bitch tits.
Yeah. Yeah, but but the point is that they were talking, like, even Project Mayhem was pointing out that nihilism was bad, and they even say like nihilism is about like whatever, nothing matters or whatever. But Project Mayhem was like about like find meaning, like, and it's like a false awakening, like they find bad meaning, right? And like that's part of the story. But the point was though is that It's like find meaning, feel something, even if it's pain, just feel something, right? Like making everything important. Like they make so many things important. They say it's not, no, this is the most, at one point he tells like the main character, he's like, this is the most important moment of your life. Like be here right now. This is the most important moment in your life. Nihilists would never say this moment is important. It's the opposite of what a nihilist would believe. That's I just wanted to make that point because those things get talked about in like even if you take a philosophy class, they will literally say Fight Club is a nihilistic movie, and it's like no, it's not. And Nietzsche is a nihilistic philosopher. No, he is not. So anyway, the question was like what had changed, right? And so
what had changed and why?
And so just to recall for the audience after my long double tangent, it's that Nietzsche quote, right? Like when you gaze into the void, the void gazes back at you. I think that we've had like a lot of luxury, and that luxury allows us time to kind of like think about like ourselves, where we are in life. You know, it's not just like, hey man, we got to make ends meet. I need to go to work. When you stay busy, you're not nihilistic. Like honestly, the secret to happiness is staying busy. You know, when you're just like getting up every day, you're on a regimented schedule, and you're just like, boom, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. Another shout out, there was the final episode of Angel, an offshoot from Buffy, right? Some guy like one of the characters, he goes to somebody and he says, hey, like, what would you do if I told you that none of this matters? Like, what would you do? He's talking to some girl who's volunteering at a homeless shelter. And she goes, I'd finish unloading this truck, you know, because she's like unloading packages from the truck. Right. And it's like, that's the thing. Like, if you just are unloading trucks, you don't have to care about whether or not it matters. Right. You just make your decision and you go. And that's one of the best ways to just avoid negative emotions. But yeah, so we've had a lot of leisure time to think about like and commiserate, and then we're online and we're like, oh, I'm so sad, and people are like, I'm so sad too, life sucks, you know. And so we do a lot of this kind of commiserating, and then I would say somewhere in the late 80s, early 90s, it just became really cool to just trash everything. Maybe it was the Breakfast Club, I don't know, maybe that character, I forget his name, you know, like maybe he just started a thing. Maybe it was Nirvana. Maybe it was a whole myriad of different things.
That was a great long, another boring rant for the wrong answer. The answer is because the shape-shifting reptoids that control the Crunchwrap Supreme Earth, they wanted to interject fear, because when we're in fear mode and being upset about everything, we can't make calculated decisions, right? And then we're easier to control. And then the Crunchwrap becomes supreme. And that's what we're trying to prevent. Now, I'm going to take that.
Here's the thing. Like, I get your jest, right? But here's the thing is that nihilism is exactly that worldview, right? Like, so when you believe that like everything is controlled by this certain group of people, like when the system is rigged and it's run by all these evil people and that's it and everybody's evil, right? You have no motivation to succeed in such an evil system. That would make you evil too, right?
Because the game's already rigged, screw it. And so, you know, I would take that, and I would also add to it too. I kind of feel, and I know we're going to get into a little bit of a debate here. I'm curious to see what you say, but I honestly think Stoicism is just an extension of nihilism. It's like, oh, look, bad things are happening to me, but I'm still happy. Oh, it's like, hey, my boss just made me work overtime and I'm not getting extra money. Hey, I'm in a prison camp right now, but I can control my happiness. I think nihilism and Stoicism, those are philosophical ideas where it's like you don't take action. You don't do anything about it. You just accept what you're doing. And that's why I have the solution, which is how to stay positive, which is a law of attraction. Everything in the universe is a vibration. Radio, television, internet waves, even atoms, we think they're solid, and they're just vibrations condensed to a temporarily solid state. And we've done experiments. Every thought you think emits a frequency. And they've done other experiments like the double slit experiment. Just by observing something, you can change its physical properties. And then we all know about the placebo effect. So staying positive can literally selfishly make your life better. And that's what you really want to do it for, right? Is yourself, and you make your life better and your next to kin, your family and your friends. But yeah, that's my hot take, is stoicism is weak. And it's for men. It's like, oh, sure, I'm being sure 8 guys took me in the back of the van and but it doesn't make a difference because I'm strong inside. Stoicism.
Weird example, Coach Will. All right, like you need to talk to a therapist about that. But
we are.
Yeah, we are. Okay. I'm glad that you're working that out. So, but the point is, though, is that here's the thing. I actually think that your critique of stoicism is a good one. I've actually argued. Yeah. Like it's incomplete, right? But it's a good one. So, like, I think that most philosophies have like a few core things that are like, yes, exactly. Right. And then what happens is that when you like latch onto those too much, you get like tunnel vision and then you like go astray.
And the problem is too, is like with all the good philosophies out there, what all other philosophers and what people like you and I do is try to take those to the logical extension. Because it turns out, it seems like in philosophy and mathematics, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's always exceptions to a rule, which make things really hard to kind of get your mind around. And it's unfortunate because it would be nice if there was just one all-encompassing philosophy of mathematics and it was just like, live your life this way and you'll be awesome. But it unfortunately doesn't work like that yet.
And so here's the thing, like I actually have argued in a debate that, and again, I am a Christian and I really like Stoicism. Certain things about it. I do actually appreciate your critique of it. But I've actually argued in a debate that it was the spread of Christianity and Stoicism that led to the fall of the Roman Empire. So
interesting. Interesting.
It was my own original thing. I never heard anybody say it. I came up with
I'd like
the theory.
to hear you discuss that off camera one day.
That's like a whole separate video.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that another live. So like, share,
and by the way, guys, if 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, when everybody was asking you how often you thought about the Roman Empire, right? Here's your once, whenever the last time was, right? So next time a woman asks you like, hey, like when was the last time you thought about the Roman Empire? You can be like, last night when I watched Dancing Dragons live. But anyway, and now every time you think about nihilism or stoicism or Christianity, you're going to be like, how did those things destroy the Roman Empire, right? And then there you go. There's some more Roman Empire fuel for you, just to keep the manly men going. I do think half the people that answered like last week were just faking it. I do believe that was the phenomenon, but I digress. So anyway, this zeitgeist kind of took over, and whether it was directed by some nefarious people that were trying to, like, maybe it was a Cold War operation to hijack American culture before the Russia fell, or maybe it was like the CIA or whatever doing something, whatever a conspiracy theory that you want to put out there. But there does seem to be like a distinct cultural change in like the late 80s, early 90s, where it became just, you are like a loser unless you're a nihilist about everything. It's like, and we can't even use the words that they used to use now to describe people that like stuff. But basically, they would just call you like homophobic things if if you like things. It's like, oh, oh, what, you like that? Oh, what a loser! I can't believe you like that. Yeah, you read? What a terrible person. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so it's kind of weird that we kind of got into that situation. And I do see that aspect of it changing. People are really starting to own the things that they like, and they're not like ashamed of it. But there was a while in our society, a long while, a few decades, where it was embarrassing to like something too much. It's really weird to think about, right? Sure. So and it's like because you just had to be like, oh, everything is dumb, everything is stupid, nothing really matters, nothing's that important. When you lost something, you were supposed to just be like, oh, that's okay, I didn't want to win anyway, like And it was just kind of like this thing that kind of took over our society. And I think that it's starting to change, which is another reason to be optimistic. And again, we're getting to have conversations about this. And I think that a lot of people have adopted these nihilistic mentalities. Like, how many people do you know, like my dad, for instance, who just like when you bring up like something important that happened or something, they'll be like, well, you don't know if that really happened. Like, and it's like, well, I don't know. I got this study that says it, and I got this news report that says it, and I got this person saying it, and I got this eyewitness saying it. And I'm like, yeah, but who knows? It's like, well, these people do, you know.
I would tend to maybe agree with your dad because you don't know, because we have been tricked in the past. But there, you know, when you and I talk about this actually a lot too, and I think it's important while we're having this discussion to make the distinction, right? So the way I visualize it is there's a spectrum of knowing, right? As Coach Eli hinted at earlier, is like I don't know that Coach Eli is there at all. I don't know if this is just all in my head. Am I in a simulation? I don't know, right? So you don't know that, right? Sure. But then right below that on the spectrum, there are things like that you can know, right? So like when when Trump appoints Jerome Powell to be the head of the Federal Reserve, and you see that on video, and then you go to Washington D.C. and you can see and touch the building of the Federal Reserve, and the people are making decisions that affect our lives. Yeah, you can say, well, you know, it could be a figment of my imagination. I'm pretty sure there's a Federal Reserve banking system that is currently behind the United States. But then there's other things, right? There's things like UFOs, like Bigfoot, like Christianity, right? Like you don't like some people can pretend like they know, but then there's other people that like there's certain things that we just can't know for sure. So there are varying degrees of evidence as well too. But I do think that there is enough evidence on certain things that you can make decisions based upon those and operate within this reality and try to counteract nihilism.
Yeah, and so that, like, it's a funny thing. Like, we can kind of bring up postmodernism here. Like, postmodernism is kind of like this idea, like, the basis of again, these philosophies and stuff, like sometimes like the basis is like, wow, that's an interesting like idea, and then people just take it and run with it and make it terrible, right? But like the basis for postmodernism is actually very interesting and important to understand. It helps you like with like mental flexibility and strategy and all this stuff, right? But they call these things Sprockenspiel, or like word games. And so, or language games. And so what they say basically is that it's like, you know, I'm sitting on a chair right now, but it's not actually a chair. I just call it a chair in my head and then use it like a chair. But like, if you only think of it as a chair, then if you have to change the light bulb and you need a stool, like you'll be doing yourself a disservice. You should just change what it is in your head from a chair to a step stool. And then, you know, you can use it. And like, that's like the basis of postmodernism. And it's like, and now obviously you can extrapolate that to more concepts and like more important things than a chair and a stool. But that's the basic idea. And that's a very important thing. But then like people basically like turn that into like, oh, everything's just your opinion, nothing real. And then like the best answer for that, when people come up with these like wild things, just say, okay, so are you telling me like that as it's a fact, or is that just your opinion? Because like you're saying that I can't know things, but how do you know that?
How do you know? How do you know?
Exactly. Like you can't know that. If you like, you know, like, so that's just your opinion according to you. So go away. Right. And so it's a self-defeating philosophy, but it's a very widespread one, very popular in academia. But like you'll see that a lot, right? Other things like, and so like people like, by the way, like they profess to believe those things, but they don't actually believe it because they don't live their life that way. The people that will like be postmodernists and say like you can't know things, or that's just a social construct or something like that. They will be the most vehement supporters of their own opinions you will ever meet. Right. They do not act as though it's just their opinion in some social construct that's a product of their environment. That's not how they act at all. They act like they know it for a fact and it's straight up gospel. And if you say otherwise, it's, you know, blasphemy. Right. So that's how you know that they don't actually believe what they're saying. Right. And then they might think that they believe it, but they don't actually believe it because they don't live their life that way. And then not knowing that anything is possible, like, again, a lot of the people that do that, they'll be very sure about certain things, but when you say something that's like demonstrable, they'll always pivot back to that, like, oh, but how do you really know? And then this whole there's no purpose in life, right? It's like, yeah, there's no purpose in life. That's like that's a debatable thing, at least, right? But here's what I would say is, like, I think that it's like the way I look at it, at least, is that every single person makes their own purpose. And so, like, when you ask somebody else, like, what's the purpose of life? No matter what they answer, it's not going to satisfy you, because their purpose in life is not going to be your purpose in life. And so you're just not going to connect with it. Right. So I think that that's like something that's like, you got to do some soul searching and understand like what you want out of life. And then you'll get your purpose in life. So I think that that's like an interesting one to kind of pull out there. And then the other thing, the idea that like there's no such thing as objective good or evil. Right. This one's a very popular one. And it's nobody lives this way. Right. Like, nobody lives this way. The people that say there's no such thing as good or evil or whatever, right? It's like, you'll just be like, well, like, what about Chris Benoit, right? Like, this guy, like, I forgot, like, he unalived like his children and his wife. I forget the exact whole story. It's like, so you're just saying that that's okay, And then they'll be like, it's not okay for me. And then you're like, all right, then you're a psychopath. Like, I don't know what to tell you. If you're trying to say that that's not evil, I don't know what to tell you. It's like, okay, what about that guy in I don't even want to like say his name, the guy in Germany who's like, the really angry guy, like in the 40s. Are you saying that he wasn't evil? Is that what you're telling me? And when you say things like that, the big, no, he was really bad. It's like, oh, I thought you said there was no such thing as good or evil, right? Like, but as soon as you start pressing things like that, they never want to own not condemning certain types of behavior. And it's like, okay, well, if you're not, but they'll condemn you for thinking that there's good and evil, by the way. Like, they'll sit there and be like, I can't believe you would believe that there's a such thing as evil. And it's like, well, what do you think what I'm doing is evil? Like,
and they have a button
really
that
angry about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they have a bumper sticker that says stop Asian hate. And it's
yeah.
like, yeah.
So yeah, exactly. The point is that nihilism is not logical. And what people will say is like the best argument, well, not the best, the most common argument that you'll hear from nihilists is like, I'm not a nihilist, I'm a realist. Like, I'm looking, and it's like, but none of these people that are hardcore nihilists or that try to push that whole thing, like, oh, you're an idiot because you like stuff, like, none of those people actually live the values that they actually like purport, right? They're just kind of like playing this character that they think is cool, right? That's all it is. They think that they're Kurt Cobain on a microphone, or they think that they're, I don't know, the guy
just
from
just a nonchalant king.
Yeah, just somebody who's just like the cool guy, the too cool for school kind of guy, and that's the character that they want to play in life, right? And it's like, okay, that's fine. But what it does is it tears a lot of people down, and it puts a lot of social pressure for you to kind of act a certain way. And you don't need to act that way. There's a lot of really good reasons to be excited. And I know we're getting close to the time here. And so I think we'd be remiss not to bring this up, but like AI, right? This is like something like
I just want to say quickly.
Yeah.
Man. People say a lot of bad things going on, and you've kind of inspired me through this talk to be optimistic. And I think some people are saying, hey, AI is going to come and take our jobs, but I don't think there's an AI bot that can gamble 16 hours a day and be his kids, right? So there's that. And then second of all, I want to give a special shout out to AI because I found my first girlfriend on AI. So yes, as you were saying, sir.
Well, normally I would not support romance romantic relationships with AI, but in Will's case, I'll make an exception. I think that that's perfect for him.
Follow me for more tips, guys.
Yeah. He did call me a eugenicist earlier because I said CRISPR was cool. So, that's fine.
Yeah, he was going on this crazy rant about his air fryer. And I'm like, bro, there's no way they do the nuggets better. So, yeah. This guy's a Christian eugenicist.
But so here's the thing, right? So, yes. Is there some reason? Is it understandable? I don't even want to say some reason. Is it understandable why there'd be some consternation surrounding the development of AI? Obviously. It's a novel technological advancement. The market effects that we've already seen, but appear to be on the horizon, are categorically different than than market effects that we've seen historically with different advancements in technology. Typically speaking, when you advance in technology, lots of people lose jobs, right? But it's usually the lowest skilled workers who lose jobs. This is kind of doing the opposite. AI is going to first take all the jobs away from the middle skilled workers. And so the lower skilled workers and the highest skilled workers are going to be perfectly fine, at least in the short run, it seems, right? But it's the middle skilled workers that are going to be displaced. And that's never really happened before. You could make an argument that ATMs kind of did this. Working in banks used to be a major profession that people did. It was something a lot of people were employed doing. And then when ATMs came out, you had to count money. A lot of people needed to pull money. They didn't have debit cards and stuff. People totally don't realize why bank buildings are so big and there were so many bank buildings everywhere. It's because people were in and out of banks constantly drawing the money, and they didn't have ATMs for a long time. And so lots of people worked in banks. And then the ATMs came and took those people out. Those people were considered not the lowest rung on the economic ladder, right? So there's kind of a little bit there. But outside of that one anathema there, AI taking the middle jobs is a weird thing. And it's something that has a lot of people very scared. And although it's true that there's some reason to be tentative or a little bit nervous about it, there's much more reason to be excited about it. There's much more reason to be optimistic. And it's just the things that will be possible with AI. And again, you can use any tool for good or evil. It's a
fire,
hammer.
You can cook a dinner and you can cook a man.
Yeah, hammers kill more people every year in the United States than rifles do, So it's you can build a house, or you can take care of that neighbor that's been moving your trash barrels on trash day. Yeah.
No, never mind. That joke's not appropriate. But
yeah, don't say that. All right, so they don't say that on YouTube.
When you're a carpenter, every hammer. Keep going.
But the point is that there's a lot to be excited about, and I'm going to give a little story right now. This is a little bit embarrassing because I'm showing a passion of mine. And we've already discovered that when you like something, you're lame. Yeah,
right? I'm gonna catch them all. I like to read. Yeah. I have feelings. Everybody clown this guy in the chat.
Yeah, this is 7th grade art class when I have to present my painting. It's rough. All right, so what happened was, is I was on AI. I was on Grok. That's the one I like to use. It's the X.com's one, right? And so I was on Grok, and I just was playing with political party names, right? Because I was these parties are gonna fall. What if I were to design a political party? So I was just thinking about names, and I was what would be good names, right? And so I came up with one. I'm not going to tell you guys because I might use the idea, and and I don't want you to steal it. But anyway, I came up with a great name for a political party. Grok agreed, said it was fantastic. Anyway, so then Um, so then, but here's the thing that happened, right? And this is the coolest interaction I've ever had with AI. Grok was like, well, how about we start writing a platform for this bad boy right now? Totally unprompted. I wasn't thinking about writing a platform at all. Grok
That's
came up
honestly
with the idea.
That's honestly awesome because that ties. I'll give my final little point right here, which kind of perfect segue to my final little stance on this, and it kind of hits on what you brought up earlier. We live in the world where we do have Wi-Fi and hot running water and AC and heat, so we have the ability, and now AI is going to open up even more opportunities for us. And there were people back in the day that said the industrial revolution was going to be a bad thing, and then everyone bit it, and things turned out all right for the most part. Now
Amish people still do exist, though.
that's true, but some of them are cheap, bro. Some of them actually have electrical lights on the back of their carriages. There's different even levels to Amish people. And then Amish people are dumb too because it's like, oh, this is gonna go viral. As soon as all the Amish people see this,
he was just saying some Amish people have the ability to be dumb. He wasn't saying all Amish people are dumb. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach Eli, don't worry. No real Amish people gonna watch this. That's why I insult the Amish at every chance I get because they
they could be on that. What's
back.
that party that they go on at when they turn 18? Rumspringa. They could be on their Rumspringa, bro. You don't know.
Okay,
you don't know about Rumspringa? Yeah,
I didn't, and I thought I knew. I thought I knew a thing or two about Amish
all right,
society.
So Amish people. All right, so for people that don't know, and again, a reason to be optimistic. When every Amish person turns 18, they get to celebrate Rumspringa. They get to go off on their own and live in normal society.
I did not know that.
And use electronics and everything, right? And see what it's like to live that way for as long as they want. And then at the end of their Rumspringa, they just decide. Yes, then they decide whether or not they want to be Amish for the rest of their life. And it's like something like 95% of them choose to be Amish.
Interesting.
But yeah, I'm gonna Rumspringa, look it up.
Although I do respect Coach Eli, I'm gonna fact check him on that. I'm sure he's telling the truth.
No, I could have some of the details. I could have some of the details wrong. These are the details that might be wrong. So it may not be for as long as you want, although I believe that they are very loose on the time. And then 2 is it might not be 95, it might be like 75. But I think it is closer to 95.
The reason why Amish people are also ridiculous, because it goes back to what we were talking about. Like, if you take, there's no all-encompassing philosophy or way to live your life that's going to fit you in every single way, right? That's why religious books continue to be updated, and people have to have debates on what did this mean here, what did that mean there. The reason the Amish are ridiculous is because it's like, oh, they shun technology, and it's like, okay, why are you living in a house, bro? Like, that's technology too, right? So like all these
the perfect amount of technology was $16.99.
Apparently, yeah. Apparently. Yeah. Okay, anyways, so my point here is this is you're talking about AI, and we also brought up the meaning of your life. And I have a personal belief, I cannot prove this, but I believe that every human on this planet has at least one, maybe 2 awesome qualities about them. And as you said, which I also agree with, your life's meaning is what you make it. And AI should give us potentially more time to do what we want. So, as a contrast, before, like me, I'm the world's greatest singer, but unfortunately, I've been having to work jobs and work a 9 to 5, which has stopped me from making my awesome mixtapes, right? So now AI should stop us from the 9 to 5 grind, and be able to make our lives easier, and hopefully we can all focus on our own meaning. I would say, as Coach Elijah pointed out, ruminate on what you want out of your life and kind of try to think about that with your 1 or 2 qualities that you have. How could you pair those 2 together? So maybe now, instead of working just to pay the bills at McDonald's, maybe you have extra time. You can start a nonprofit to, promote the knowledge of the Crunchwrap shaped earth.
I don't know why you would suggest that, Coach Will. I believe in our audience. I think that they can make profits. All right. So You don't need.
And
You
a
can.
good way to
You
do
can
that
seek
would be
profits,
going
guys.
to,
Yeah.
and as we're winding this down, Coach Eli's going to get his final point. But a great way to do that, because maybe it's a mentor, and maybe you're fortunate enough to have a mentor in your real life. I was lucky enough to have my boy Todd. Shout outs to Todd to kind of and a few other people to kind of steer me in the right direction and get me down the road that I wanted to start walking upon. But if you don't have that, and maybe you're sitting in middle management, or maybe you're just a regular employee and you want to make the jump to management, maybe you've already been successful in that, and you want to find a man or a woman. Maybe you've already been successful in all of that, and maybe you want to lose a little weight, gain a little bit muscle, or get in touch with your spiritual aspects. Well, we have built a mentor. That's DancingDragons.CC. DancingDragons.CC. One more time, that's DancingDragons.CC. We have a wide variety of coaches over there. And I think that's the best way to find what your meaning is in life. And those people are going to be able to see and understand your qualities and hopefully come up with a game plan so that you can give some meaning to your life. So I would like to say that. And Elijah, if you could please take the floor and end us tonight.
Yeah, since I've had so many pop culture references, here's one that wasn't very pop, but definitely not very culture either. There was a very old, terrible movie called SFW. It stands for So Effing What, right? And it was a very strange movie. It's about like terrorists take over this department store or like a grocery store or whatever. Like the people are stuck there for like 6 months, and they force like the television channels to air their video of what's going on inside, or else they're going to kill everybody. And so the movie starts when all that is over, and the people that were in this ordeal come out, and they're celebrities, right? And because everybody's watched them on TV every day, and so like the one guy, his like catch line was like SFW, so effing what, right? Like nothing matters, kind of like that kind of thing. And that became like the biggest phrase inside the society. Like everybody's like SFW, it was like this whole thing, right? So there's a couple of like big name celebrities. I'm not a big name celebrity person in the movie. That there's some inside the movie or whatever. I don't really know their names, so I couldn't tell you, but it isn't like it's like a nothing movie, right? So anyway, but a spoiler alert, at the end of it, he ends up being shot, and he's given like a speech or whatever, and he gets shot by this girl who says like, because he says like nothing matters or whatever, and then that happens, and she says like everything matters, and then she becomes the next celebrity, and everybody's like, oh, everything matters. Anyway, so here's the point, right? Classic, the defeat of nihilism, right? No, but it's a weird movie. But anyway, so the point though is that you don't have to deal with the people that tell you that, there's no meaning to life. You shouldn't be proud of your children. That makes you a lame parent. Apparently, that's the thing. I didn't know that until I became a parent. You shouldn't be happy that you're being successful in your career. You shouldn't be happy that you shouldn't love your husband or wife too much because that makes you lame. Oh, what are you doing asking your husband or your wife for advice? What a loser. Right? You don't have to listen to these people, right? And what's even better is that there's plenty of reason to be hopeful for the future, and more people are understanding that they don't have to adopt this nihilistic point of view. And it's going to snowball, guys. Like it's going to be an exponential improvement in our culture and society. So say no to nihilism, say yes to optimism. The best pair of glasses you can wear aren't the lens, like the no prescription lenses that Coach Will wears. The best kind of glasses you can wear are the rose-colored glasses. All right. So that's all I got for you. Coach Will, you got anything else?
Yeah, man. Have a good night.
All right.